In the next few moments, you're going to discover something that has the power to change your life forever. Imagine waking up every morning with a voice in your head that lifts you up instead of tearing you down. A voice that pushes you to be better, to believe in yourself, and to take action. What if I told you that the way you talk to yourself every single day determines the course of your life? For the next 21 days, you have the opportunity to transform the way you think, and all it takes is changing one simple habit. Most people don't even realize it, but the words we say to ourselves shape our reality. Every time you say, "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "this is too hard," your brain listens. It takes those words as truth and builds your life around them. But what if you flip the script? What if, for the next 21 days, you spoke to yourself with the same kindness, confidence, and encouragement that you would give to a close friend? What if you stopped doubting yourself and started believing in what you're truly capable of? Simon Sinek, one of the most inspiring thought leaders of our time, has spent years studying leadership, motivation, and the power of mindset. His words have transformed businesses, teams, and individuals worldwide. But today, his message is for you, because the way you lead your own mind is the way you lead your life. And if you master this one habit, changing the way you talk to yourself, you'll be amazed at what follows. Picture this, it's day 1. You wake up and instead of telling yourself, I'm so tired, you say, "Today is going to be a great day." Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," you say, "I am learning, growing, and improving every day." It feels weird at first, maybe even forced, but something shifts. By day 7, you start believing it. By day 14, your confidence grows. By day 21, you look in the mirror and see someone stronger, someone more capable, someone ready to take on the world. So, are you ready? Are you willing to challenge the way you think and break free from the limits you've placed on yourself? The next 21 days will define you. It's time to talk to yourself like never before. Let's begin. At first, it feels unnatural. The words coming out of your mouth don't seem to match how you feel inside. You stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am strong. I am capable." But a small voice in your head pushes back. "No, you're not," it whispers. That voice is familiar. It's the same one that has held you back for years. The one that makes you doubt yourself, that reminds you of every failure, every mistake, every time you weren't enough. But this time, something is different. This time, you don't let that voice win. You take a deep breath and say it again, louder, "I am strong. I am capable." Maybe you don't fully believe it yet, but something inside you shifts, and that shift is the beginning of something powerful. Simon Sinek teaches that the way we think and speak to ourselves directly affects our actions. Our minds are wired to follow the patterns we create, whether positive or negative. If we tell ourselves we are failures, we act like failures. But if we tell ourselves we are leaders, strong and capable, our minds begin to believe it. And once we believe it, we start acting like it. Day by day, something begins to change. You catch yourself before saying, "I can't," and instead say, "I'll figure it out." You stop blaming yourself for past mistakes and start focusing on what's ahead. You wake up feeling a little lighter, as if the weight you've carried for so long is starting to lift. But just as you begin to gain momentum, doubt creeps in again. Maybe it's an unexpected setback, a rejection, a moment where everything feels like it's falling apart. That old voice comes back, louder than before. "See? I told you, you're not good enough." This is where most people give up. This is where the real test begins. Day by day, something begins to change. You catch yourself before saying, "I can't," and instead say, "I'll figure it out." You stop blaming yourself for past mistakes and start focusing on what's ahead. You wake up feeling a little lighter, as if the weight you've carried for so long is starting to lift. But just as you begin to gain momentum, doubt creeps in again. Maybe it's an unexpected setback, a rejection, a moment where everything feels like it's falling apart. That old voice comes back, louder than before. "See? I told you, you're not good enough." This is where most people give up. This is where the real test begins. The brain doesn't like change. It fights it. It wants to stay in the comfort of old habits, even if those habits are destructive. And this is where you have a choice. You can let the old voice win, let it pull you back into the same patterns that have kept you stuck for years. Or you can keep going. Keep speaking those words, even when they feel false. even when every part of you wants to give up. Because if you push through, something incredible is waiting on the other side. Doubt doesn't just disappear overnight. It lingers, waiting for the right moment to creep back in. You start the day feeling strong, but then something happens, maybe a harsh comment from someone, a mistake at work, or an old memory resurfacing. Suddenly, that voice in your head comes roaring back, louder than ever. Who were you kidding? You've always been this way. People don't change. And for a split second, you believe it. This is the real battle, not against the outside world, but against yourself. Changing the way you talk to yourself isn't just about repeating words. It's about breaking the cycle of negative thinking that has controlled you for years. But breaking that cycle means facing the deepest parts of yourself, the fears, the failures, the moments you've tried to forget. And that's terrifying. Simon Sinek often talks about the power of belief, not just in others, but in yourself. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never failed. They're the ones who refuse to let. Because no matter how much you try to change, there will always be moments that test you. Days when nothing seems to go right. Days when the old thoughts come rushing back, stronger than before. You might wake up feeling motivated, but by the afternoon, you're exhausted, frustrated, and questioning why you even started this in the first place. The doubt feels heavier now, almost suffocating. Then, something happens. A conversation, a missed opportunity, a mistake that feels too big to recover from. Maybe it's someone close to you questioning your progress. You really think this is working? They ask with a doubtful smirk. Maybe it's the silence after you take a risk. No applause, no validation, just uncertainty. Or maybe it's a moment of failure that feels like proof that the old voice in your head was right all along. Your mind is at war with itself. On one side, the version of you that is trying to grow, to believe, to change. On the other, the version of you that is comfortable with the past, that doesn't want to struggle, that just wants to go back to what feels familiar. The tension is unbearable. You tell yourself, just keep going. But a part of you is screaming, what if this isn't worth it? Something unexpected happens. Just as you're about to give in, when the weight of doubt feels too heavy to carry any longer, you get a sign. It's subtle at first, something small, something you almost miss. Maybe it's a random compliment from a stranger, a small win at work, or a moment where you react differently than you would have in the past. It's not life-changing, not yet, but it's enough to make you pause. Enough to make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, you're actually making progress. But then, just as hope starts to build, life throws a curveball, something bigger, something that shakes you at your core. Maybe it's a major setback, a rejection, or a situation that forces you to confront the very fears you've been running from. This time, it's not just a whisper of doubt, it's a roar. The negative voice in your head is louder than ever, reminding you of all the times you've failed before. It tells you this is proof that nothing has changed, that you're still the same person you were before you started this journey. The real test isn't just about speaking positive words to yourself, it's about believing them when everything around you is telling you otherwise. It's easy to be confident when things are going well. But what about when they're not? What about when you feel like you've hit rock bottom? This is where most people quit. This is where the 21-day challenge becomes more than just words. It becomes a fight for who you are becoming. And then something shifts. A realization, a moment of clarity. You start to see the pattern, the old voice, the self-doubt, the fear. It's all just a cycle. A cycle you now have the power to break. But the question is, will you? Because at this moment, standing on the edge of either giving up or pushing through, one decision will change everything. And then, in the moment of greatest doubt, something inside you shifts. Not in a dramatic, life-altering way, but in a quiet, undeniable realization. You've been here before, on the edge of quitting, listening to the same voice that has always tried to hold you back. But this time, something is different. This time, you see it for what it really is, a test. Not proof of failure, but proof of change. Because if the old voice still has power over you, that means you're doing something new. Something unfamiliar. Something that scares it. So instead of retreating, you take one more step forward. Just one. You don't try to silence the doubt. You simply choose not to listen to it. You speak back, not with empty words, but with conviction. I am stronger than this. And for the first time, you actually believe it. The next day, things don't magically get easier. The obstacles are still there. The doubts still creep in, but something is different. You don't react the way you used to. You don't let one bad moment define your entire day. You recognize the pattern, the cycle of negativity, and you break it one thought at a time. And then, just when you think you've figured it out, the twist comes. Someone you've looked up to, someone you've always seen as confident and successful, admits something unexpected. They struggle with the same doubts. They fight the same battles. The difference? They've learned how to push through them. That's when you realize self-doubt doesn't disappear. Fear doesn't vanish. Even the strongest people feel it. The secret isn't to be fearless. The secret is to keep going despite the fear. That's the moment it all makes sense. The past 21 days weren't about becoming perfect. They were about proving to yourself that you don't have to listen to the negative voice anymore. That every time you choose to believe in yourself, you take back control. And that, more than anything, is what changes your life. The days that follow feel different. Not because life has suddenly become easier, but because you've changed the way you respond to it. The challenges are still there. The doubts still whisper. But now you know they don't define you. When something goes wrong, you don't let it spiral into a story about your worth. When fear creeps in, you recognize it for what it is, just a feeling, not the truth. You start to notice how your mindset affects everything. The way you walk into a room, the way you speak, the way you handle setbacks. Other people start to notice too. They see a shift, even if they can't quite put it into words. You aren't waiting for validation anymore. You aren't seeking permission to believe in yourself. You've given that to yourself. And then one day, without even realizing it, you stop needing to remind yourself of who you are. It's no longer something you force, it's something you simply know. The words you spoke for 21 days weren't just affirmations. They were instructions, rewiring your mind, rewriting the story you tell yourself. And now, that story is different. It's one of strength, resilience, and belief. The journey wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about uncovering who you've been all along, underneath the doubt, beneath the fear. You've proven to yourself that change is possible, not overnight, not without struggle, but through consistent action. Through choosing, every day, to believe in a version of yourself that is capable, worthy, and enough. As you move forward, you know there will still be tough moments. But now, you also know you have the power to face them. Not because you're fearless, but because you've learned that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's taking action despite it. And that's what makes all the difference. The challenge is over, but the real work continues. Because now, you understand that the way you talk to yourself shapes everything. And with that knowledge, you hold the key to changing not just your mindset, but your entire life.